and so many other more like mentees that I've known, like a good number of. So when I was applying to this to so many schools, he did a whole lot of recommendation letter. He has facilitated a whole lot of research collaboration for me, and I think as early career persons, you generally need people like that in your circle for genuine advancement also. And the much I know about him is he's someone you can always walk up to and have a discussion with, and he will generally tell you the best he knows really. And so this is more like um, telling Prof that I deeply appreciate what you're doing, what you've done for me, and you're doing for the community as well. Thank you so much. So going to more like more like the reason for this discussion, it's all about or how do you more like how do you navigate the space of or from unknown? I like to see it as from unknown to kind of known in a way. When I say unknown, not as a person, but from you lacking the knowledge of being able to push some of the research that you do out there from your labs, and having to more like make the world understand what you're actually doing in your land, because the whole concept of publication is, oh, anything you're doing within your small space. When I say small space, that the small is actually in quotes. Anything you're doing within your small space, you want the world to know it, and that's generally the essence of communicating your research. So it's more like going to be a personal experience. So it's more like what I faced. And I'm not going to tell you that, oh, and maybe when you see some public people publishing now, everyone has their story really. Like, trust me, it's kind of difficult when you're starting out. Because the reality is you just like I like to highlight that as African students, we actually tend to more like put so more pressure on ourselves as regards what we don't know. Oftentimes, especially during that period of I don't know this, I don't know this, one you're dealing with your methods, for instance, the methods of your research. You are doing forgot. You are not the one that more like invented some of these methods, like a whole lot of them. You are not the one. You just saw a paper. It's consistent with what you're doing, and you want to replicate that in your research. So you are trying to figure that out. Then we have that. Then you have the problem of financing, that everything around that, because we basically self-fund ourselves. Like there are very limited scholarship back home to fund some of this research. So you're basically looking for resources to get some of these funding to fund your own project. Then you're trying to navigate the methods. And after doing that, you have a whole lot of stuff trying to figure out. So this space of unknown is actually a difficult space. And maybe a whole lot of you, I can relate to the state of mind at the moment. And sometimes when you browse some of these, so you're dealing with that. And another part is, okay, fine, you've been able to struggle and just get the results, which is not going to be more like an easy process. I could recall during my time when I basically did my master's under the supervision of Professor Dixon. So I was basically doing more like molecular surveillance of salmonella, basically, and I was looking for distribution of selected antimicrobial resistant genes. Then, like, it was generally the fact that I have to travel to so many spaces in Niger State. That one was an headache. There's times that like I would like it's kind of it's a whole lot of stress. That's aside. Then when you get to the lab doesn't the lab might not generally acknowledge that you've done so much work by traveling around and picking samples. It lab might not acknowledge in the sense that, oh, the fact that you've given so much input and our research might not, yours might not be like your surveying of samples. Yours might just be like you've been in the lab for say the whole night. That doesn't mean you'll get some good results when you are more like processing your stuff, your data basically. And when I say good results, really, I mean like result doesn't have to be consistent with what is known, or however, the description of good result, like you don't want something that is significantly south. So so generally when you are dealing with all that, then you've been able to generate your data, you've been able to more like then it's one you have to write a manuscript, definitely. So and when you're writing a manuscript, oh, after writing a manuscript, yeah, writing a manuscript itself is a difficult task on its own. And I'm trying to highlight this problem because these are the phases I've actually gone through. You have to write a manuscript. The question is, the first thing that will come to your mind is, how do I write a manuscript? After I've passed through this difficult time of getting data. And that's how I get comments when people say, in fact, Timothy, like once I'm done with this master's or this undergraduate or this, I need a space because you are dealing with so much by yourself. It's just how it is, especially back home, right? And people have done it, and this is what I try to highlight. I've seen people do it, and definitely I can do it also. It's more like a self assurance. You keep telling yourself that, you know what, some people have done it, and I can navigate this also. But the process will be very much easier if you have someone supportive. Then I can always walk up to Prof and say, oh, Prof, I'm not getting this result. What can I do? And it's either he helps me reach out to some other collaborators or he finds answer for me. And that's essentially helped me. So when you have a good PI, and I really want to more like plead with the African PIs, there are so many of them that are very nice, but I genuinely feel also that PIs, and I say PIs, I mean faculty, professors and doctors, senior lecturers and all, please, these students are going through so much, and it's just more like there's a need for us to more like for PIs to be more receptive and understand things from students' perspective also, because at this stage, we students are going through a whole lot of thinking. I was fortunate to have someone that understands what I'm going through, and he was able to guide me during that process. But I know a whole lot of other colleagues, friends, and not do not have that same privilege, basically. So that is very like that's one of the struggles, like a whole lot of struggles I basically faced. But interestingly, when I was facing some of these struggles, there are lessons that I basically learned. One is the fact that, and I think in achieving anything in life, you just have to be resilient. You have to be, and I wouldn't like. It is very important that you know what you want, and you just keep going for it. The failure is just the part. It's normal for you to fail at some point. It is fine. Like, and I say it again, African students, we are deeply hard on ourselves. That is the truth. Like we put so much pressure, like I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. The society is putting pressure on us, and we're also putting pressure on ourselves. And before we know it, we are basically exhausted mentally, and we just want out. So, like, just tell yourself everything is fine. Because the truth is, ultimately, you would navigate this phase and you would definitely more like achieve, like when you look back and you be like, really, so was I the one that more like passed through this phase? So just keep your head up high and be resilient, know what you want. Do not always they say like know that you don't know something. One thing at the back of my mind, especially when I get reviews from profs then, Professor Dixon then, one thing I tell myself is some of the comments he has made, maybe he was correcting my manuscript or correcting my thesis or correcting me in some other stuff. Is that you go you face the correction? How do we face correction? What's the attitude by which we face corrections? Like, I know some people are kind of reactive to corrections. They'll be like, this man is correcting me too much. And the truth is, when you have that mindset about correction, the first thing is you are losing the essence of correction. Like, you are not acknowledging the fact that you don't know this thing, and this person that has gone through this part is actually telling you that this is what you're doing that is wrong. So if you face corrections with, oh, this man is like, you are not learning. And I like, if you don't take anything from this conversation or this meeting, really, I like that let's, as African students, we should really change our attitude towards correction. I know some corrections can be made, but try to just sieve it and hold on to the important ones, like the ones that would really significantly impact you. So don't have this attitude of, we should not have this attitude of, oh, this person is correcting me. And because I get that from friends. So that is one aspect of facing correction. Another aspect, which is very productive, is to say, oh, this prof has actually sent a message, a correction to me. How do I correct it? And I'll give you a very simple example. So most times when I write then, this is just more like a simple example. Most times when I write, I believe when I was writing then, and I sent my work to him, it corrected, I think, the way I write Salmonella typhi or Salmonella species, especially when I want to shorten it. And there were so many highlights in my work and everything. So immediately I opened the manuscript, I saw so many reviews, like, okay, fine. Okay, what is this correction? Oh, this is just like, this is not how to write this. Write it like this. And since then, it's either I face the correction as was it like, this marking is too much. Then I'm not growing if I do that. But another thing is, this is how they do it. So meaning I'm actually acknowledging the fact that I don't know it. And I'm agreeing to the fact that, oh, this is how it is done. And when you pick that, the truth is, in this journey of research and really learning, you can't learn everything at the same time. You pick some of this information as it comes. So let's have a positive attitude when doing some of these things. When I corrected that, the truth is, from that point going forward, I made sure I did not make that mistake again. So anyone that reads any work I wrote, like, okay, fine, at least this correction is out of it. If you can correct something else, or at least you would not be correcting this. So if I have that same attitude to so many of the corrections my PI has highlighted, then over time, then I'm growing. My writing becomes better than it used to be. And this is more like the attitude I have towards learning, really. When understand that you don't know and you are moving to from unknown to, you want to know, you want to learn. And during that period, try to more like have a positive attitude towards learning, really. And also, we have to highlight that we have to give our PI, we have to cut them some slack. And this is just me, because I tell you, everything I'm saying here is how I process things. I like to give people, cut some people, like people are not perfect. My PI is not perfect. So do not expect perfection from, oh, my PI should help me do this. My PI should do this for me. My professor should do this for me. My professor should do it. You are the learner. You should be out there seeking for some of this knowledge. And sometimes you get stuck, then you try to navigate it, you don't understand, you still understand it, then you can come back to them. Because the reality is they have so much doing. They are in a meeting, they are in like a whole lot of stuff. They are processing grants, they are doing a whole lot of stuff already. So you have to cut our professor some slack. Again, all these things will build you to becoming a better person also. Generally, at least at some points, we might find ourselves being the professor of some students also, and we want to have a good impression on them. So it's important we call our what our professors on Slack. So now talking more about writing and how it started for me. So during my when I was more like completing my masters, then obviously I've done some research. Then I have to publish. I have my data and everything. So I was actually fortunate because fine, I wrote the draft, the manuscripts. I think I wrote two. No, I wrote three. Yeah, I wrote three because we have some at least a good data to more like publish. Like we have some data to publish basically. So it was not an easy process. The first thing is you have to be like, okay, fine. How do I write the introduction part? How do I write the method part? How do I write the result part? What is the abstract? Again, I like that you don't know some of these things. Like at least at that point, you might have reviewed, you might have, while you are doing your literature review, definitely you would have gone through a whole lot of articles. Some articles you will just download them, you will not read it. It is fine. Some articles you are just downloading them because you want to read just a sentence from it. It is fine. You get. So more like you've downloaded a whole lot of articles, and now okay, you've seen how they wrote their stuff, the abstract, the introduction, and everything. And I want to write mine. So how do I start? One thing is there are different patterns of writing people have, which I've noticed really. The first thing is you highlight some, say 5, 6, 7, 10, depending on the number you can find based on the research you're working on. Then and this is basically what I did. And I got those articles. I'm like, okay, fine. This information, this manuscript I want to write, how has this person mixing, because these are at least really the article, they've published it in journals, and I would believe it's good. That's why it's kind of they're able to publish it. So at least they have the knowledge. So me, I don't have the knowledge at that point, and I need to learn from them. So what I did was to more like download a whole lot of articles as regards my topic. Okay, how did this person structure a sentence? Then I did that, and I started building my introduction, my methods. Then I still used to write starting from introduction, methods, results and discussion, or results separately, discussion separately, depending on the journal you're trying to more like target basically. So the process then wasn't straightforward. There are corrections, there are, oh, how do I do this? But like just give yourself the time, read enough articles, and generally you'll be fine, really. you like then we had access to Turnitin then. So like it's not like you have to copy and paste. No. Read a sentence, look at the information of the sentence and find a way to draft it and basically acknowledge where you got the information from. Really, that's very important. And during that period when I was writing, I was also fortunate because it was a COVID period. So I had time to more like I had time to I had time. I was basically at home. I wasn't even going to work. I was just processing my data. So like it was more like, oh, and prof gave me the privilege that, you know what, just write your manuscripts and when you send it to me, I will do the review, then I send it back to you to have some input basically. So I had time to like, okay, how do they write introduction? I read a whole lot of introduction of papers, like introductory section in different articles. Then I wrote mine. I was able, like the first original draft I wrote, trust me, it was more like the best I could do then generally. And but I was glad. I was and like you have to praise, we have to learn to more like celebrate our small wins also. When I did that, when I wrote, oh, seriously, I actually wrote a manuscript. So like then I sent it to my P. I had co supervisor also Professor Stella Smith at the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research in Yaba, Lagos. So I sent it to Prof and Prof Dixon and Professor Stella also, Professor Smith also. So like they were okay. So fine, this they highlighted their correction. You have to be able to harmonize their corrections really because professor will say, okay, write, Prof Dixon will say, write it this way. Then you're like, okay, fine. How do I find a common ground when you have two um, um, PIs correcting your work? Well, so just do the best you can to harmonize as much as you can, really. And it's much more easier now to even write a manuscript. Not like easier, it's never easy, really, but like now you have advanced platform that can at least give you some guidance. Then it's more like a raw thing. Like you spend 2 hours writing a single sentence because you don't want to plagiarize. So like you just want to write something good. And sincerely, one thing that helped him was I never started out lying to myself to say, let me just copy everything and put it together and submit it to these people. Because if you say this is your job, you have to learn to more like do it well. So do not lie to yourself to say, oh, I'll just copy this person, put it together and send it to them. They would no. Tell yourself the truth. I don't know it. It is okay. Like sincerely, fine. African students sincerely, based on what I have seen since I got here, we don't praise ourselves enough. I'm telling you, by God's grace, many of you find yourself here very soon. And trust me, you realize that we actually know stuff basically. So try to more like celebrate your small wins. So then put I got be sincere to yourself when you're starting out. So really be sincere to learn. I got a whole lot of manuscripts, wrote them, and and I submitted and I got a feedback. And then I had to more like select a journal to send it with because that was another headache basically. That was another headache for me because the question is how do you start? How do you more like find you've written a draft has been corrected a whole lot of times. Like trust me, your original draft will be significantly different from your final draft. The final one you are going to submit. And it is fine, it is just a process. It is not about it doesn't mean you've written rubbish. It's just the process. Like it just make it, like it doesn't make sense for you to write something and you feel it is just perfect like that. Like this is understanding how the process will work. The truth is, even if PIs are working amongst themselves, like professors are working amongst themselves, when they come up with a manuscript, they send it to themselves and they do correction, a whole lot of corrections, and they harmonize some of these corrections and they find the ultimate copy they are going to submit. So you that you're starting out, don't be too hard on yourself to say, look at so many corrections. The reality is you don't know it at that point. And it's just okay for them to correct you. It's fine. Learn. So then you ultimately have your original copy, like the copy you're going to be submitting after writing your topic, your abstracts, depending on the journal you want to submit it also. And I also want to highlight about, okay, maybe when we get to more like the real concept of publishing and everything, I'll be going to highlight that. So then you have to select a journal, really. This is more of a very interesting one because my journey was, say, oh, now I have a draft of what I want to submit. How do I do that? And again, because it was a COVID-19 period, I had time. I went through different journals and I was basically reading through what is the author's guideline? Because this is basically what what you want like how do I submit this? And the guideline for every journal have their guideline. And it just makes sense. You're trying to publish with them, they should have a guideline for you. So then you read that. The first thing is obviously it depends on the kind of work you do. Selecting a journal depends on the kind of work you do. And you have to be sincere to yourself. If and it, I used to highlight being sincere because I can't you see the worst you can do to yourself to lie is to yourself. Like if you don't know something at the back of your mind, just tell yourself, I don't know it. I need to bridge this gap. Don't keep telling yourself or living the life of, I should be able, I will know it, I know it, I know it. When you really do not know it, like it's okay to acknowledge that you don't know it. So then the thing is that you be sincere to yourself in the sense that, especially as regards finding journal, you know the quality of work you've done in the lab. And maybe at that point, I was sincerely not thinking about the quality. I just wanted to publish. Then that was basically what was at the back of my mind. But I'm going to tell you that it was maybe I got lucky because I was properly guided, basically. But then at the back of your mind, be sincere to yourself and be like, okay, this work I've written in relation to other work in that field, how innovative is this work I've written? Because it will guide the kind of journal you should target. Don't go and write something by your own standard self. You know that work does not really is not maybe the sample size was small, or maybe like you have some kind of deficiencies which you violated in addition to like your PI have highlighted and some other persons have highlighted. Don't start looking for, say, you want to publish in Nature journal. Like Nature is a very high impact factor journal. So don't say, you've written this, this is my master's or this is my bachelor's degree manuscripts. Then I have to publish it in Nature. Nature is like 40 impact factor. So so it kind of depends on the journal on the manuscript you've written, really. So it's kind of it will guide, like there's so many impact factors. Some use impact factors, some use site score. And one thing that is very important also, especially when you're selecting journals, especially when you're starting out, trust me, do not, there are so many journals there indexed in a good places. Say Springer, Elsevier, Tilo and Francis, Willie. There are so many of them. Water and something like that. Plus one. There are so many of them like that. Don't start out looking for journals that would say, oh, I can publish it in 2 or 3 weeks. Like, if you start out that way, just like I'll give you an instance where I was working really back home in Nigeria. We have this definitely you have to get promotion. It's more like you have to get a promotion basically. And while doing that, you have to submit articles. You have to submit your published article within that period, like within the 3 year period. And some articles they just remove it from whatever you've submitted, really. Like they just say, you know what, this one is doesn't meet the standard, really. I think all if you publish, okay, based on my knowledge, then based on my knowledge, or yeah, based on what I know at the moment, I think it is more of I think you can publish. It is safe to publish in journals that are affiliated to any society, even Nigerian society. I think that's safe. But try as much as possible not to publish in places that are predatory. We have so many predatory journals out there. They are more like you submit your article because you are also eager to see your name as author or co-author in a published work. It's a good feeling. I'll tell you that. It's a good feeling when like the first message you are getting. Oh, congratulations! We are we've agreed to publish your 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 manuscripts. Like it brings that great feeling in you. Really. So try and publish in a good place because you're also building your reputation generally, and you want your reputation to be more like good. Many journals are. I think I published two of mine during my masters. I published two articles, and they are indexed in Scopus. The two journals are indexed in Scopus, and like even that's even a good benchmark. Once the journal is indexed in Scopus, I think in Nigeria there's only one journal that is indexed in Copol in Nigeria. That is Scopus indexed. I think so. So like try to I've forgotten the name of the journal now, but it was even very recent. Like so try to more like target good journals because what's the essence of publishing? Because the problem about publishing in predatory journal is once you publish, you will be in predatory journal, you basically wasted that data. Like that's manuscripts because you are not going to be using it for any progression in the real sense of progressing, basically. You are not going to, but I know that the track of people, I'm just telling you this so that you won't fall. I was privileged to be guided, but I know some of my friends that they don't have that same privilege. They published in that predatory in those predatory journals, and yeah, they basically wasted the data. They can't use it for promotion. They can't use it for anything really. And in the real sense of doing research, there's no one that will pay so much attention to any work you publish in a pediatric journal. So, like, you should generally take note of that. So then I was able to publish two of my manuscripts. Very happy, but it doesn't. It's like it's not. It wasn't like an easy period. There is the reviewing part, and I know many of us are averse to like we our body language again. Our body language to correction is but there are some corrections that are kind like I highlighted. There are some corrections that are mean. Imagine after putting all the pressure of reading author's guideline, I like like structuring your manuscript based on the journal, and you submit it after 3 4 months. Then they get back to you and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we will not be publishing your manuscript because of this." They all generally give this generalized excuse that, oh, they have so many stuff also. Or some people can even be more mean and say, oh, they didn't mean your manuscript did not meet our standard. That can be very, especially when you wake up. I don't know why most of those comments, I don't know, maybe Prof can highlight us more on this. Like most of those comments come in the middle of the night. So say you just wake up and you just say we want to just check your phone and you just say, oh, the email. And the interesting part is when you open the email, like, oh, it's your message has been rejected. Like you just get angry immediately. In fact, the sleep will not even come again. The reality is I received that kind of email for I think the whole of 2019. It was all rejections. Like you just open email. Oh, I'm sorry. Sometimes it kind of I got used to it at some point. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Like you just but it's more like it's very difficult because you needed that so bad to be like, I need this, at least because you are actually giving the input, but it's not coming. So, but it's fine. Like you just keep at it. Rejection generally, ultimately, we're able to publish the work in Scopus Index Journal. I used it for my promotion then. So it's kind of and it has gotten a good number of citations basically. So it's at least ultimately we have what I'm just telling you the process that it is very difficult, especially when you're getting reviewers comments. People used to highlight our reviewer like reviewer two. So if you are a reviewer two that is more like listening, please sir, try to calm down in some of the comments you put in a manuscript because those reviewer twos they can be mean at times, really. And I know Raji Mohammed would understand some of these things I'm saying. Like it's kind of mean, basically. So let's try to. Hello? Sorry, who is? So let's just
Yeah,
try. Hello.
I think,
Do you want to have
I
a?
mean, thank you so much, Mr.
Okay.
Aremu. I mean, it's been a great session. So I was just trying to see how to share that we can, if we can, if you can kindly, I know it's a lot you have to say. I mean, even in the next 4 hours, there's a lot, but we're also looking at, we have 2 more sessions. So if we can
Okay. Okay. Okay.
kindly help wrap up in the next 5 minutes so we can have
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely. I will. I will.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So like so generally okay, so okay, so I'm just so you have to more like publish in a very good place. Try to highlight good journals to publish, especially those ones that are indexed in good places also. And another point I basically want to highlight is there are so many journals that are generally free. You don't have to pay a dime, especially as people from Africa and then generally around the world. Elsevier has, if you go to Elsevier, there are two options. You can publish for free, but they don't explicitly write this. Some of them would explicitly write that, but they don't. Many of them will not explicitly write it. You don't have to pay a dime to publish in 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 Elsevier, in Springer, in Plus, you don't have to pay them, although they clearly say that you'd have to pay $2,500 or something like that. You don't necessarily have to pay. I think Nature recently, I'm talking about scientific reports, brought out an option for African researchers that you can also publish for free especially if you're from Africa, generally African researcher. So these are some of the places you would want to target. And lastly, I want to highlight like what's changed after publication. The thing is, when you publish your work the first time, you'll be looking forward to the next one. You'll be looking forward to the next one. And generally people are noticing you. And if you keep doing that, you have a whole lot of opportunities that you can more like leverage on. People, you say you get email from people reviewing from journals that you want, like they need you to review their manuscripts, like manuscripts submitted on their site and everything. And this is just more like increasing your footprints basically in the research field also really. So like I'm open to more like collaborating with any person, and this is and prof the academy is essentially there. I'm definitely going to be part of it, and you can always send an email to prof, or you send emails to me, then I would be privileged to more like respond to your messages. Once again, thank you so much, prof, for giving us this privilege. The thing is, many of us will not be here if not for God and support. Like the previous prof that spoke previously highlighted the impact of praying. Definitely, you have to more like pray. You are more like religiously inclined, so you just have to have that at the back of your mind that you need God's guidance, and you hope everything works in your favor, basically. So that is generally all I have to say at the moment, but I'm open for questions also. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Aremu. Please let's celebrate him with a virtual applause. I mean, it's just so much. And I think what makes it really interesting was the fact that he didn't hold back any information. He didn't give empty promises. He didn't say it was going to be all rosy and interesting. And what makes it even he gave practical examples, and that's something very important that we all need as early researchers. And I know that some of us already, mid-level research are very much familiar with. And so thank you so much, Mr. Aremu. It's been an insightful section, and we are truly grateful for the opportunity to have you here. Sorry that we had to cut you abruptly. We're just trying to see how to accommodate the other sessions that are coming in, and to also give opportunity for people that would ask questions. I know many people want to ask questions. So within just the space of few minutes, 3-5 minutes, we're making it open right now for questions. Maybe you need clarity, something, or you just want to ask questions on anything. I mean, our facilitator is here to answer that. So you can indicate the raise of hand, and then you'll be given the opportunity to just say out your question within 30 seconds, and then we'll get responses for that. So if there's any, please indicate it to raise of hand.
Yeah.
So usually after a session and we do not really have questions, it means one of two things. It's either the session was so great that we didn't have any question at all. There was no need for question, or we didn't understand it at all. So, but right now I know that it's on the positive side, that the question was so great that the simplicity was top notch and everything, and so we don't have any questions at all. Or maybe you are still processing your question, and that's okay. And you can always like have them, and and the chance to ask them will always be made available. So very quickly, without much ado, we are going to be going to the next session, and I want to invite uh, Precious Mine to take over from here. Thank you, Precious.
All right, thank you very much, Joshua. Thank you very much to our speaker, Sir Kolawole. I really learned a lot. It was impactful. So now we're moving on to the next session. We'll be inviting Mr. Raji Mohammed, who is going to be telling us what to expect throughout the remaining weeks, throughout the course of being in this cohort. So over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Precious. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mohammed Olumideraji. Welcome to the Frontier Scholars Academy once again, and welcome to week one. I want to start with a direct statement because I feel it will save you time and protect your focus. I want you to know that this mentorship is not a motivational program, and it is not a program you enroll in just to earn a certificate. It is a production program. Yeah. If you participate consistently, you will live with something concrete, either a journal ready manuscript or a refined thesis that can withstand serious academic scrutiny. This final outcome is not an empty promise. It is built into how the academy is structured week by week with deliverables that build on one another. In the next 20 minutes, I will make the program's roadmap so clear to you that you can already predict what you need to do next week and even the week after. I will cover the week by week overview, the assignment and practical deliverables, the time commitment required, and how to take the academy seriously without burning out. I'll also talk about the common mistakes that early career researchers make and how you can finish with a draft that has a real chance of peer review. So breathe in and breathe out. Whatever you are taught here is achievable and doable. The structure is built to carry you as long as you do your part. I want to start by talking about the core model of this academy and what success looks like. And I want you to keep it in your mind, in your head from today onward. Every week we follow the same spine, which include one core masterclass focused on concept and strategy, a practical workshop or mentorship session, a weekly assignment with feedback, an AI integration component, and a peer review engagement. And this design actually matters for one reason. It stops you from living in theory. You know, many postgraduate researchers can explain research methods, but they cannot produce a clean method section. Many of us can talk about publication, but we cannot prepare a draft worthy of submission. This is why Frontier Scholars Academy exists. It forces production by turning each week of the program into a building step. And by the end of this program, you should be able to open a folder on your laptop and show a clear research question, a mapped conceptual or theoretical frame, a structured literature review, a defensive methodology section, result or findings written clearly, and a full draft that reads like an academic argument, not some sort of disjointed or redundant note. Now, I want to walk you through the roadmap week by week. As I explain it, please make sure you do not listen passively. I want you to write two things down in your note. First, your intended final output, either a journal-ready manuscript or a refined thesis. And secondly, the name of the research problem you are committing to for this program. You can refine it as time goes on, but you must commit to something because the academic momentum depends on continuity. The aim of week 1, which is the week we are in now, is to set your identity, your discipline, and your research focus. The focus will be on mindset and discipline, defining your research problem, understanding the difference between journal writing and thesis writing, and even ethical AI orientation. And your core deliverables for this week are a working research title and a 150 to 450 word problem statement. You should also know that week 1 is not about brilliance. It is about precision. In fact, if your title is vague from the beginning, everything downstream will become harder for you. If your problem statement reads like a topic description, your research question will be weak by week 2. In this week's assignment brief, you will also submit 3 to 5 preliminary academic references, and you will write a 1-page reflection on your academic vision for the next 3 years. I believe these tasks are not busy work. The references will prompt you to begin anchoring claims in scholarship, and the reflection will prompt you to take ownership of your own identity. So my simple rule for you in this week assignment is for you to finish the week with a problem you can defend in 2 minutes without any filler. Now, moving on to week 2, the agenda for week 2 is to convert your idea into research question and a conceptual frame. You will write strong research questions, identify gaps, develop hypotheses where applicable, and also build a framework. You will also use AI-assisted literature mapping as part of the process. And your deliverables are clear research questions and a draft conceptual framework. I think it is where many people will expose a major weakness. They will confuse a research topic with a research question. You should know that a topic is a field and a research question is an answerable problem with boundaries. So if you leave week 2 without a research question that can be operationalized in method, you will suffer in the subsequent week 3, week 4, and the rest. The week 3 will force you to move from just summary to critical sentences. Week 3 is actually more of literature review mastery. We will cover systematic versus narrative literature reviews, thematic synthesis, avoiding descriptive writing, and the difference between critical analysis and summary. We will also work with citation management tools. Many researchers think they are writing a literature review when they are only listing what other scholars said. And I think that approach produces a weak paper and a weak thesis chapter. A literature review must do at least 3 things, and these include organizing the feed into themes, show what the feed agrees on and what the feed has not resolved. Then it must finally point to your research problem as a necessary next step. When you start using AI tools in week 3, you must keep your ethics tight. You will use tools that to help you organize reading notes, extract key claims, and compare themes. But you will still read the primary sources and you will still verify quotations like page numbers and the meaning of what you are even citing. Strong journals do quality checks that can include plagiarism screening and scrutiny of citation. And as I mentioned earlier, you must keep your ethics tight. Moving forward to week four will turn your question into a defensible research design. It is more about research methodology and design. You will work through research design selection, sampling strategies, instrument development, validity and reliability, and even research ethics. And the deliverable of week four is a draft methodology section. Week four is where writing begins to feel serious because you cannot hide behind a broad language. You must make choices and defend them. You must state your design, justify your sampling, and demonstrate that your measures make sense. For instance, if you are on a qualitative project, you should be able to explain in plain language what you will code, how you will code it, and how you will ensure trustworthiness. If you are on a project or on a quantitative project, you should be able to explain what variables you measure and what tests align with your question. So that will be what we'll be focusing on week four. And by week five, you will build your result and you'll be trained on how to interpret those results without overclaiming it. The focus of week five include quantitative basics, qualitative coding and thematic analysis, data visualization, and writing the result section. And the deliverable here is a draft result or finding sections. I think generally week five is where many papers break. People either report results with no interpretation or they overinterpret results beyond what the data even supports. And your job here is to report cleanly, then interpret with discipline without overinterpreting what you do not even get in your result here. So in practical terms, week five will ask you to produce a result section that an examiner or a reviewer can follow without even guessing what you did. By week six, you are expected to produce a complete first draft that will read like an argument. You will focus on strong introductions, logical argument structure, discussion section execution, linking findings back to literature, and academic tone and clarity. Your deliverable here is a full first draft from introduction through discussion. And by week seven, you will shift from just writing to strategic publishing and targeting journals. You will learn how to select the right journal, how to interpret quartile rankings like Q1 and Q2, avoid predatory journals, and prepare abstracts, keywords, and even cover letters. The deliverables of week six are a journal shortlist of at least 3 target journals and a structured abstract, how to compose a structured abstract. Predatory publishing often involves deception and a lack of quality controls. So if you submit to a predatory journal, it's either you waste your money, you damage your reputation, or you even lose the chance to publish the study in a credible outlet later. And by week 8, you will learn grantsmanship and research funding strategy as a career skill. You will learn how to identify suitable funding opportunities, align proposals with funder priorities, write compelling problem statements, set smart objectives and measurable outcomes, and structure a grant proposal, budget, justify cost, and even avoid common reasons application gets rejected. The deliverables of week 8 include a 2 to 3 page grant concept note and a preliminary budget outline with justification. You'll be taught how to do all this perfectly. And this week 7 actually matters for the week 8. I mean, it actually matters for two reasons. Grants force you to articulate impact and feasibility, and secondly, they sharpen your ability to explain your research to people outside your niche. Even if you do not plan to apply for funding immediately, the skill payoffs in scholarship and policy work. And by week 9, you will be trained to revise like a professional. The focus will be on peer review and revision strategy. You will learn how to review works and how to respond to reviewers, how to handle rejection professionally, and how to strengthen your manuscript coherence. By then, there will be a live peer review simulation, and your deliverable for the week will be a revised draft of your manuscript. This week will turn you into someone who can take criticism without collapsing. And that's actually part of academic identity. In most journals, in most journal workflows, editors make decisions that include rejection, acceptance, or revise and submit after you respond to the reviewer feedback. In fact, some journals also do initial technical and integrity check after submission, which can include plagiarism screening and ethics check. So your job is to anticipate that reality and by revising with care and by maintaining clean documentation of your methods and sources. After week 9, we will also have optional advanced week to expand your AI workflow and public presentation. And one of these optional week will focus on ethical AI and its impact on advanced research productivity. It will cover building a personal AI workflow, responsible disclosure of AI use, and limitation of AI in academia, and even integrity compliance. The deliverable of that week will be a personal AI research workflow plan. And this will be aligned with publication ethics guidance that stresses transparency and responsible use, including disclosure for expectation for AI assisted technologies or tools. Another optional week will be on capstone presentation and the certification stage. You will present your work, receive panel feedback, plan next step for submission, strengthen your research visibility on Google Scholar and ORCID. And the deliverables for this week will include a final manuscript or thesis chapter and probably a 5 to 10 presentation by each participant. On research visibility, I want you to treat it like an infrastructure. For instance, ORCID provides a free persistent identifier that helps distinguish researchers and link professional activities across systems. Likewise, Google Scholar profiles also provide a way to showcase publication and track citations over time. So that would be the arc of each week's program. And now I will briefly explain how you will survive it. The assignment you'll be given is like a loop. It's like it's actually the engine. Yeah, the assignment is the engine. If you do your assignment perfectly, then I'm very sure you will be successful in this program. And the weekly assignment is not a test of your intelligence. It is an engineering system for output. I'm a participant like you, and if you ask me what I will do to be successful in this program, my response would be like, I will attend every classes, I will take structured notes, I will produce the deliverable, I will submit on time, I will get feedback, and I will revise quickly. And I also bring questions to the next session, and I will keep moving. So I believe we all understand the arc of the program now. And we are all starting the week seriously. Thank you so much for listening. Now I will invite Mercy Gilbert to moderate the next session. Mercy, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please, can everyone hear me? My network is not too good. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
All right. Please give me a minute.